Imagine a man who could be anyone but himself, saving lives as a surgeon without a medical degree, teaching psychology without a diploma, and preaching without ordination. This is the story of Ferdinand Waldo Demara Jr., the great imposter, a man whose life was a labyrinth of lies and whose truth was stranger than fiction. Stay with us as we dive into the extraordinary world of a master masquerader. Born in Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1921, Ferdinand Demara seemed destined for a life of distinction. The son of a well-off cinema operator, his world turned upside down during the Great Depression, which plunged his family into poverty and set Demara on a path of extraordinary deceit. From a runaway teen to a Trappist monk, Demara's early life was a preview of his capacity for reinvention, a skill that would define his every move. The narrative of Ferdinand Demara is one marked not merely by the quantity of his disguises, but by the audacious quality each embodied. With each new identity, he dove into depths that few dare to explore, mastering the details of professions he had no rightful claim to. As Anthony Ignolia, Demara slipped into the fabric of the US Army. It wasn't just the uniform that he donned, but the mannerisms and the jargon. Each salute an echo of a life he never lived. But military life was too constraining for a man whose aspirations were as boundless as Demara's. Predictably, he deserted, leaving behind a trail of confusion and a borrowed name. His spiritual journey as a Benedictine monk at the New Subiaco Abbey in Arkansas was another chapter of deep deception. Here, he introduced himself as Robert Linton French, a scholar eager to embrace the monastic life. His days were filled with prayer and contemplation, but his nights were spent in the abbey's library, poring over theological texts, absorbing enough to preach sermons that resonated with profound insights, unbeknownst to his brethren crafted from borrowed wisdom. But even holy walls couldn't cage his restless spirit. Accusations of forged documents forced him to abandon the cloistered life once more. He ventured into the bustling world of Chicago, slipping into yet another guise. As Dr. French, he now entered the academic realm, lecturing on psychology at a Catholic college. His lectures were an elaborate performance, each class weaving complex theories that he barely understood, but presented with convincing clarity. With every role he played, Demara expanded the boundaries of his mythical self. Each identity was shed like a snake's skin before the pursuit of the next, a testament to his incredible adaptability and his profound understanding of human nature and societal roles. The crescendo of Demara's masquerading symphony was undoubtedly his role as Dr. Joseph Cyr, a naval surgeon aboard the HMCS Cayuga during the Korean War. Here, his audacity didn't just blur ethical lines, it potentially gambled with lives. Clad in a surgeon's white coat, he wasn't just impersonating a doctor, he was performing emergency surgeries. The operating room aboard the Cayuga became his stage. With a textbook hidden just out of sight, he quickly memorized procedures for extracting shrapnel and suturing wounds. His hands, though untrained, moved with surprising deftness, guided by stolen knowledge. The soldiers, unaware of the deceit, trusted him implicitly. As he directed the medical team with unexpected competence, the line between fraud and heroism blurred. Under his care, not a single life was lost during those harrowing days. The ship buzzed with whispers of his surgical prowess as crew members spoke in awe of the life-saving newcomer. But fame in such a confined space was a double-edged sword. The very heroism that elevated him also sped up his unmasking. A Canadian newspaper featured his feats, which were read by none other than the mother of the real Dr. Joseph Cyr. The jig, as they say, was up. Confronted by his commanding officer aboard the Cayuga, Demara could no longer weave tales. His confession was a somber coda to his most daring role. Though he was dismissed and deported, The legacy of his time as a surgeon lingered, a complex blend of admiration and betrayal among those he had deceived. Demara's exploits made him a media sensation, covered in Life magazine and Time. His life inspired the 1961 film The Great Imposter, starring Tony Curtis, which romanticized his audacious deceptions. But fame was a double-edged sword. It made continuing his deceptions increasingly difficult. Yet, even as his true identity became known, Demara couldn't resist the lure of the con. He ventured into acting, appeared on game shows, and even founded a college under the guise of Brother John Payne. In his final years, Demara's life quieted. He served as a chaplain in a California hospital where few knew of his colorful past. Here, the imposter found a semblance of redemption, providing genuine comfort to the sick and dying until his death in 1982. Ferdinand Demara died as he lived, a man of many faces, driven by a complex mix of deceit and a desire to be useful. His life forces us to question the nature of identity and the lengths one will go to find purpose and belonging.
Demara's story is a profound reminder of the human capacity for change, the power of self-belief, and the thin line between genius and madness. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the lives of Ferdinand Demara, the Great Imposter. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you view Demara's life? As one of fraud or one of unparalleled audacity?